Hello there, my name's Ashley Shaw, and I'd like to speak to you a little bit about the global rise in Islamophobia and the causes of it. Well, over the past few months, I've weighed up a number of different things and come to some conclusions. I mean, it's obviously fueled completely by the mainstream media and our governments, and I'll give you some examples of this. Whenever there is an incident with the so-called Islamic terrorist organisation ISIS, which incidentally have absolutely nothing to do with Islam in any way, shape or form, because none of the actions that they ever perform are anything to do with Islam. Completely to the contrary, actually. But whenever there is any report about ISIS, the mainstream media goes absolutely crazy, and every few minutes you're hearing the word Islamic terrorists, Islamic terrorists, Islamic terrorists. I mean, this is, it's propaganda, pure propaganda. They're putting those words into your head. But they don't deal with all situations in the same way. For instance, if it has no link, if an action has absolutely no link whatsoever to do with Islam or what they class as being Islamic, then they don't speak about it in the same terms. And the situation in the Ukraine at the moment is a fine example of that, because whenever the mainstream media do report on what's occurring in Ukraine, they pleasantly refer to the terrorists as Russian separatists. Now, doesn't that sound lovely? The Russian separatists are just fighting to be part of Russia. Well, the definition of a terrorist is somebody or an organisation, through means of violence, use that for a political end. Now, as you can see right there quite clearly, that explains and shows the propaganda element of what's going on. Why aren't they calling them Ukrainian terrorists? Why aren't they showing us what the Ukrainian terrorists are doing and calling them that? It's only ever, Islam, Islamic terrorists, Islamic terrorists. Well, ISIS has about 10,000 people in the whole organisation. So why the world can't beat that, I don't know. That says everything. And there are 2 billion Muslims on the planet. 2 billion people. 2 billion people follow Islam. They're not all trying to kill you. They're not all trying to take over the world, because believe me, if they were, we'd know about it. There are 2 billion of them. Instead, Muslims they're under attack. They're under attack. Suddenly, Islamophobia seems to have become a global norm. The last time this happened, people, it was to Jews in the Second World War. The last time a whole religion was demonised in such a way was during the Second World War. And it was wrong then, and it's just as wrong now to do it to Muslims. Muslims around the world have no connection whatsoever to terrorism. Terrorism has no religion. It is just that, terrorists for their own agenda. And another instance is beheadings. Whenever ISIS beheads somebody, the media goes crazy. Islamist terrorists behead innocent civilian. Well, I'm sorry, but Saudi Arabia beheads people. I've seen a video lately of a woman in Saudi Arabia being beheaded on the street. Now, that wasn't all over the mainstream media. And why do you think that is? That's because Saudi Arabia are our friends. Saudi Arabia has been propping up the British weapons industry for the past 40 years. So it seems that we have twisted morals. What we see as horrific in one set of people, we are silent about in another, because they are our friends. So this is clearly showing propaganda. Totally showing propaganda. Just before the Israeli attack on Gaza last year, they had, excuse me, I'm sorry, I've lost my train of thought. A young boy was kidnapped by Israeli settlers, these are civilians, and set alight. Petrol poured down his throat and set alight. The world went, tut tut. Well, these three kidnapped teenagers had been kidnapped and killed, so that's okay. No, it's not okay. If it was anybody other than Israel, if it was anybody, any other people in the world other than Israeli settlers, you can bet your bottom dollar, yen, euro, whatever, that it would have been splashed everywhere. Everywhere. In exactly the same manner as the pilot, the Jordanian pilot, has done this week. So, we can see quite clearly that the way the media portrays different events is totally set up to put doubt and worry in our heads. Islamophobia is being fed by our governments and by our media, and if we don't stand up to it, and spread the truth, then I fear for us all, because they're trying to. In fact, I think it's over 60% of Americans already think they're in a holy war against Islam. What absolute nonsense! What absolute nonsense! We have to stand up against it. We really do. Islamophobia is not acceptable. Hatred of Jews is not acceptable. Hatred of blacks is not acceptable. Hatred of a people is not acceptable. You cannot hate everybody. You cannot tar everybody with the same brush. It is this thinking that is the most dangerous thinking in the world. Not so-called Islamic terrorists. They're not Islamic and they have no connection to any of the other 2 billion Muslims in the world. And it's up to us to fight that. Spread the truth. Spread the truth. We have to stand up and fight it with every fibre of our beings. It is not acceptable. Don't let them do it to us. Don't let them do it to us. Don't let them divide us. We have to unite. We have to unite as humanity and fight against this. We must. So please, explain to everybody. Islam is a religion of peace. It has nothing to do with terrorism anywhere. Stop believing all the propaganda. See it for what it is. Stand up, speak out, and say no more. And let's be one voice. Global unity. People together. We can beat it if we stand and speak the truth. And we must. Islamophobia is not acceptable. It never will be. Just as hatred of any other religion, colour, race is not acceptable. Thank you.